Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. The next 10 minutes are inspired by a project and a race car driver. I hope you enjoy it. Welcome to the engine. I've been getting after it pretty hard for the last couple years, building up the Matt Todd University brand. I've been tutoring for 17 years now, but there was something about the community that blossomed around the Matt Todd University hoodie, the first one I made. It was a total mistake. Kids in class said that they wanted, t-shirts or something, and I didn't want to make t-shirts, so we decided I'd make a couple hoodies. They designed the whole thing, and then boom, all of a sudden people really liked them. Matt Todd University was born. So I've been going really hard, making sure that that's as awesome an experience for my students as possible. And when the COVID hit, as with a lot of things, people's expectations of 2020 and what they were thinking the year would be kind of got put on hold. So, as the SAT and ACT got delayed or canceled for a lot of the test dates, I had a lot of time because not a lot of students were preparing, and justifiably. Some stayed on because they knew that I would stand by them no matter what and do reviews with them later on, which we did, and that was great. And then some people just said, hey, look, we're gonna kick it back 6 months. So I had a lot of time, and I got involved in a lot of different things in this time. First off, I kept hammering the podcast, which I was doing beforehand, and I love it and have continued to love it, but I really dove into it. I started interviewing people that were running for public office in Danville, and I started interviewing people that were running for the school board because obviously I'm really invested in academics and education, and I wanted to hear about what different people thought about the schools around here that I've been, again, working with for almost 2 decades. So that was awesome. I also got involved with, again, the people running for local office. So some of the people running for the town of Danville, for the town council, people that would in the future be mayor and whatnot. And in fact, interviewed the woman who's going to be mayor in 2021. Really enjoyed these interviews. And again, it was more of a public service thing because, again, people need to know who the candidates are, and they needed to understand who they were, not just from a campaign slogan, but from a couple hour long conversation. Great experience with that. But I also got involved after that with a project for the city. They needed to do this mayor installation. And what that means is at the end of every year, they decide, okay, look, who is going to be the next mayor, and the town council determines it, and it rotates around, and that's awesome. But they obviously couldn't do this whole award ceremony or mayor installation in person. So because I had done this interview and a couple other things with a lot of the council people, they said, hey, why don't we ask Matt if he could do it? So I ended up somehow getting involved in this video production. So we were filming, whole lighting setup, whole thing, right? Audio, the production of the entire installation, and that was awesome. But again, it took a lot of time and not something I usually get into. And off of that, a bunch of other things popped up. And again, I have a YouTube channel that I'm hitting really hard now that has really good quality content. I've been putting out about 2 to 4 videos a day, just SAT, ACT math, and grammar, and different content. It's fantastic. It's everything I do in class. The exact same verbiage, the exact same problems. I just do it up on YouTube. It's essentially like I'm recording a class problem and posting it. And people are liking it. It's great. I really enjoy it. And it's what I want. I want to be teaching. I don't care if I'm teaching in front of people. I don't care if I'm getting paid for teaching. I mean, I'm not getting paid to do it for YouTube, but I like teaching. It's what I do. And I had a tutoring client who came to me and said, hey, you got this YouTube channel, you got your podcast, you got these other things. Could you help me essentially do this? And I was like, sure, that sounds great. I love doing it. I got all these things going. And for some reason, I thought about that movie Ford versus Ferrari the other day. It's a really good movie. I'm not even crazy into cars, and I was so taken by this movie. Such a well done film. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. And there's a scene in the beginning of the film that kind of lays the foundation for helping the viewer understand who Carroll Shelby is. And he was this American who won the 24-hour Le Mans. Incredible person, incredible personality, incredible force and will. And in his time as a driver, before he got sidelined for medical issues, it's like the middle of the night and he's doing this 24-hour Le Mans, and he gets out of his car. They're trying to fill up the car with gas real fast, and some of the gas splashes, and he lights on fire. Okay, now he's standing there next to this car on fire, and this crew of people come over, fire extinguishers. They fire him off, they get the fire out, and they're all just standing there. And he kind of looks at him like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Fill up the car. Fill up the car with gas. And literally, he's still steaming. It's not on fire, but he's steaming. And one of his pit crew looks at him. They're like, Carroll, what do you, come on. Because what had happened in that moment is people had kind of assessed the cumulative burden and enormity of the task that they were undertaking. And him lighting on fire at that point was just the tipping point where they're like, look, this is too much. What are we doing? There's too much going on here. Right? The enormity of everything hit the pit crew. And Shelby looks at me like, look, am I on fire right now? They're like, what? Am I on fire right now? And we're like, well, no, not anymore. It's like, then fill up the car. Fill up the car. I'm going. And he does. He goes off and he wins. And that struck me really hard over the last couple days, because the point was very well made, and it was at least very well taken by me, because he had a singular vision. He knew exactly what had to happen in order to get where he was going. He wasn't focused on these other tangential things. He wasn't focused on what he had done. He wasn't even focused on what was happening in the future. He was focused on one thing: getting back in his car and taking off. And because of that, he was great. He was the best in the world at the time. And I was thinking about all of the other things that I've been doing, and my propensity to say yes to people when they want help, or to say yes when people have projects they want me involved in. And that lack of focus will make me a slave if I let it. That lack of focus will bring me to my knees if I let it. Because I don't need to focus on other people's stuff. I don't need to focus on, doing more stuff for the town. I don't need to focus on other people's, YouTube channels. I don't need to focus on all of the other things that distract from me teaching one student at a time, and doing that as best as I possibly can. Be that in my class, be that on YouTube, it doesn't matter to me. If I'm not focused on one problem, one student, every single day, then I'd probably be like one of those tools in the pit, worried about the cumulative burden of everything, worried about all of the other things going on. But what I need to be is somebody asking if I'm still on fire. And if I'm not, I'm getting back after it. That's the only way you become a champion. That's the only way you do something good. Stay focused. One goal, one purpose, a singular vision. And if you're not on fire right now, this second, you better get back behind the wheel and keep driving. I'm Matt Todd, and this is the engine that drives me. Go out and crush it.